I've not seen this, so we're watching this together as friends on the internet.
Pull up the super chats and read those. Are there any questions, chat, before I read the super chats? Does anyone have any questions that are left unanswered by my reading? Did I fail you in any way, shape, or form? Go ahead and type that in while I fuck around and stall for time. I'm trying to figure out what the let's see. Are you going to Trune Out? No. Can you say the N word? I don't think I can. I might get banned. This is a very classy stream so far, so it'll be nice. How likely are the grandparents involved in the degeneracy? There's a meme that the grandparents donate a lot of money to Rekida's, like to a zoo, and supposedly the zoo is like an incredibly important nexus of like public-private enterprise in Kandiyohi County. So they call it like the Zooluminati or something. I can't speak on the existence or non-existence of aforementioned Zooluminati, but it is possible, I suppose, that the grandparents are using their Zooluminati connections to to get some stuff done. Let's see. Okay, I was able to pull it up. Why is the government covering for him? Here's my theory. That's a great question. Here's my theory. I believe that the prosecutor made representations to Nick that the body cam footage would never ever come out if he pled guilty to the charges. And there is two shady things happening with the prosecution. Number one, using something like that as a means to compel a confession is unethical. It's not immediately obvious to me if such a thing is unconstitutional, and the plea deal is therefore invalidated as a result. The other thing that happened is that this body cam footage was entered into evidence in Rekida's criminal case to help April. And it is also generally considered unethical for a prosecuting attorney to allow co-defendants to run joint defenses for each other when they're tried separately. So it's a very strange setup that the body cam footage was entered into evidence to defend April from Nick's perspective, but then also, if part of the deal was that the body cam footage would remain off the record, number one, it would have to be an informal part of the plea deal because number one, it was not entered into the plea deal formally, and number two, after the plea deal is read, the judge asked the prosecution and the defense, is there any part of the plea deal which is not on this public record that I need to know about? At that point, if the body cam footage staying off the record was part of the plea deal, then they should have said, yes, there is, and should have told the judge off the record, in private what that was, and had that sealed. But it seems like it's an informal arrangement where they just said, like, yeah, sure, if it doesn't go to trial, then it doesn't get entered into evidence. And now it's looking like it is entered into evidence, and they did not properly handle that, and it might come out, and the prosecutor is afraid of being sued or afraid of his plea deal being thrown out. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it is extremely strange. Why did they even give him a plea deal? I don't know. It's any number of reasons. It could have just been to be nice to him because he is a member of the community. He does donate money. He went to a church. He has 5 kids. He has no reason to run. He's a pretty favorable first-time offender. Pretty favorable defendant for a lenient sentence. Let's see. Is there a way to spin this so that it's not a total Baldo victory? This is a huge win for Nick if his main concern is not having the body cam footage come out, because at the very least, it's now incredibly delayed. It's going to take a long time to undo this damage. Because I can't stress, like, it was one thing for the prosecutor to ask for this. We were going to intervene today, but we were going to intervene this morning, but it happened so quickly that he got what he wanted that there's actually there was no way for us to intervene in time to stop the immediate decision. because it's an uncontested thing in the case. So it is like actually shocking. Nobody could have expected this specifically, but I did expect the unexpected, which is why as soon as I heard about it, when I figured out, or rather when Hardin figured out that there was a way to access the footage in person, I did not say a fucking word. I did not say a fucking word to anyone. I kept my fucking mouth shut, and I thought, I need to get people to see that footage today. And in like 3 days, I managed to get the first woman out to see Officer Pomplin's video footage, and that's why we have those nice notes. Like, I didn't say shit. I didn't hint at shit. I didn't tell a fucking soul. It was me, Hardin, and the people who were physically going there, and nobody else knew, because I knew. I didn't know what I knew. I didn't know what would happen, but I knew something would happen, because I knew that there was no way that Rekieta would let it get out in public. So I took every possible conceivable means, and then after the first viewing, the schedule to actually get a jury room to see the evidence was like weeks apart. So we got one in the next week to see Robbie's footage, which I also read, and then from there it was like, mid-June to see it again. This day was a very important day because it was the first day that was actually available all day, which is why all three were attending. But they knew that people were coming, and they knew they had to rush it, because they didn't know if I assume they knew that we had people visit before, but they didn't know what we had. So they knew that 3 people were coming, and that they were going to take extensive notes all day, and that's why they rushed it. They rushed it real fucking hard, because they knew that they were literally driving to Candiota County to see that footage, and they knew they had to shut that shit off immediately. What are the odds they'll just delete the footage? I am worried about that, because the thing is, if they delete the footage now, the best that we can do is sue the county. So we might get a judgment of like $100,000 for blatantly illegal violations, but the sheriff has immunity through his position, and the prosecuting attorney has judicial immunity, which is like an almost absolute immunity. So there's nobody we can hold accountable for it if they just delete it now. But we will be able to sue the county. But that's not what I want. I would I would honestly rather have the body cam footage than $100,000+ from Candiota County. You know what I mean? How did they view the footage in the first place? It was entered into evidence. Rekieta's attorney entered into evidence 2 body cam videos to try and prove that April Imholt was not properly Mirandized. It is evidence. It was entered as evidence. It was reviewed as evidence, and it was ruled on as evidence. So therefore, it's evidence, and it's public record. So that's why they were able to see it. But because there's kids in it, they couldn't release it directly. You had to come in person to see it. And the sheriff should have released redacted versions to us, but he refused. And that's what set the ball in motion for this to be unwound, basically. But they were able to see it in person before that happened. How long are the videos? I think an hour and 45 minutes. That's all it took. They even with the house as cluttered as it was, the drugs were in such plain view and in such obvious positions that they didn't need to search through the hoarder mess to find it. They just took it from the top of the cabinet. Is the kids being in it a law? Yes, because they're minors, and they are owed an additional level of privacy from the government that adults are not given. So yes, they're owed privacy, which is why it has to be censored before it can be released publicly. Do I think another figure is trying to get the body cam footage now? He'll get arrested again. Yeah, we'll probably get the body cam footage from the second arrest before we get the one from the first arrest. Knowing my luck. Let's see. Check the Rumble chat. Did they find ceiling cat? Dude, now that I know that the ceiling is uncovered, it's extremely possible that there was a ceiling cat poking out of the like the Lowe's insulation stuff above the paneling. I have not seen some of the footage. So I actually really considered flying out to Minnesota. I could not justify it. It would have been a very long flight. and I would have had to spend money for hotels and shit to see it in person, and I just couldn't justify it. I considered driving out there, and then I like actually searched the distance from Florida to Minnesota. I thought it would be like a 12-hour drive. I greatly underestimated how far out in the middle of nowhere Minnesota is, and it was like I want to say it was like a 20-hour drive, maybe even longer to get to Minnesota to Candiota County. I'm like, fuck that. So my options were to fly, and there were no direct flights from anywhere near me. And then I would have to stay. And it was just like you could only go certain days, and then I would have to stay like an entire week in a hotel because there's only certain days that they were open to see it anyways. And it's just like, fuck. I really, 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 really wanted to though. I also decided early on, in case you picked up, all three of the witnesses were women. I also decided at some point that, you know what, I should probably get women to do this because Rekieta's go-to insult seems to be saying that everybody who wants to see the inside of his dirty, filthy fucking hovel in his little lair is a pedophile. So I thought, you know what, I should just get women to do it because women are like 10 times less likely to be, a pedophile. So I'm like, if I just get women to do it, it looks like I've taken every reasonable precaution imaginable to handle this as responsibly as possible. So I feel like the way that I had planned it out was actually superior than me just actually going to see it myself. And now it's like I'm not inserting false memories into this because I have certain predispositions towards Rekieta or whatever. These are like random people who just wanted to see the footage that are members of the public in the area. So I need that footage. I really do. All right. I think that's it. Again, thank you for watching, especially on short notice. That's stupid.